I'm Stykuc, and today for Asian Movie Pulse, I'm going to be taking a look at the 1997 release of Hero, directed by Corey Yuen, and was a reimagining of Shaw Brothers' 1972 classic, The Boxer from Shantung. At this particular time in the studio's history, Shaw Brothers had retreated in effect to sort of TV releases and were making less productions. And this was a reasonably sized budgeted production for the time and goes in slightly different directions to the original, but still is reasonably worth of interest. Takeshi Kaneshiro plays Ma Wing-jing, the central character of the piece, as escaping to Shanghai in search of a better life, along with his brother, played here by Yuen as Ma Tai-chung. They run into a sort of gang boss, Tam Se, played by Yuen Biao, who challenges the sort of a great abrasive Ma Wing-jing to a confrontation after he sort of goes to pick up a sort of coin and says, actually, no, you're worth more than this on that bit here. So I challenge you to a confrontation as we ride this horse-drawn carriage, and if you are victorious at the end of this confrontation, you can have this watch. The face-off ends as a draw, and both end up respecting each other and through their integrity and having saved each other from serious injury during the course of this, sees Ma Wing-jing slowly then settle into a life in the underworld of the Bund, with him taking over a nightclub owned by Yam Young-ching, played here by Valerie Chow, who is an ex-lover of Tam Se, who had earlier in the piece said to her, I think it's time you find a husband now because you're getting on in years, and as a woman you're a bit old and I'm not the kind of guy that you want to be with. This kind of stirs a little bit of resentment in her, which when Yong Zhang, played by Yuan Tak, our central villain, enters the fray, leads to a double cross and betrayal, resulting in Tam Se wounded and in prison, and Ma Wing-jing left for dead. Jessica Hester plays Cam Ling-se, the love interest of Ma Wing-jing, a sort of singer in the nightclub, who is accompanied by her father as Uncle Po here, played by the director Corey Yuen. They sort of find the left for dead Ma Wing-jing and bring him back to full recovery, including a fantastic moment of comedy, which I won't spoil for anyone that hasn't seen this production yet. Inevitably, in the world of Hong Kong action, we're going to end up with a massive battle and confrontation, which tragedy will ensue and, of course, ends in a way that only a Shaw Brothers production can do so. As a follow-up to the Witcher Box from Shantung, it's slightly curiously lacking in terms of its intensity. The original is one of the most violent, brutal films to be released by Shaw Brothers, and this lacks that to quite a degree. It is entertaining in terms of its action sequences, but never kind of hits that spark. Takeshi Kaneshiro, as we know, is a very good actor. He has done numerous sort of pieces with directors such as Wong Kar-wai, and so can act, but has little really to do here other than sort of act like a matinee idol for most of the film. And we never really get an insight into his character here. His double act with Yuen Wan is entertaining, and as I said, we'll mention there's a couple of nicely timed comical sequences in this, but there's never anything that really draws you in. His love interest relationship with Jessica Hessner never really gets going. It's formulaic. It just lacks anything of interest at all. Where the dramatic content comes in is through its supporting characters. Yuen Bao, as Tam say, is probably the heart of this production. At the time, he was going through a bit of a career downward slope, as he'd been a big star during the 80s and appeared with Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung in some of the best features that you'll see in the genre, but had really struggled to make it in his own identity. That's not to say he'd made good features. You have such work as The Iceman Cometh, Dreadnought, Knockabout, The Champions, but at this particular moment in his career, it felt like he's on a sort of downward sort of spiral, and he'd appeared in a man called Hero and lacked a little bit of his old energy, and much, much, much better here. Uh, we get the full range of emotions. It's a flawed character. He believes he is protected almost by the British, and so has this sort of cockiness in the first half, kind of thinking he's invincible and ignoring completely the threat played by Yang Chuang, to the point where it ends up in being his demise, his doom in this first, as he ends up in jail. Valerie Chow gets what is on the surface your stereotypical femme fatale persona here. She has given a very good reason to be so, given the sort of slight that Yuen Bao's Tamsei has put up on her in that first half. So uses Ma Wing-jing for her own purposes, and when the time comes, then takes her revenge. Then sort of slips into the, oh, I didn't really want him dead, please let him escape. That results in her being raped, scarred, and curiously redeemed. It's an odd feature of Hong Kong cinema where you have these female characters that are on the surface, originally at the beginning, outwardly beautiful but scarred within, and then as the narrative progresses, the reverse happens. I'm not quite sure how that's supposed to go, but she gives it her all, and uh, becomes probably the second best part of this particular feature. It's kind of sort of held back a bit more so by the need for two comedy supporting acts. You only really need one, and Yuen Wah is a wonderful supporting actor here, really sort of camping it up, really playing it to the nth degree. So it doesn't need Corey Yuen's character Uncle Po. He doesn't really add anything to the narrative as such, and could quite easily be excised. The whole feel of it is curiously underpowered. Corey Yuen is a good director. He's not going to be an auteur. He is not going to be the standard of Yuan Wu Ping or Sammo Hung in terms of his action features, yet had a very good career of solid action movies that, often with Jet Li, that did quite well at the box office. It's hard to tell a clear directorial style for him, and some of the moments are blatantly false. If you watch that opening confrontation on the horse-drawn carriage, you'll see that horse is just a tad wooden for most of it. And I'm not criticising its performance, it is actually just a fake horse. And it's very blatant when you see this. There's some nice camera work as we head towards the conclusion, and the fight choreography is, as you would expect from Korean, perfectly serviceable. But the finale lacks any real intensity until the final moments, where you have that inevitable sacrificial moment that comes in this genre. You know that things aren't always going to end well. It struggles really in comparison if you've seen the original. If you've seen the original, then you're probably going to be a bit more critical of what is in front of you here. If you haven't seen the original, then You have a perfectly serviceable, entertaining 90 minutes of Hong Kong action cinema. It's a bit fast foody. You'll watch it, but it's not really going to stay in the memory too much. As a couple of footnotes, it's intriguing to look at the year in which it was made, 1997, and consider obviously this was the handover of Hong Kong from Great Britain to mainland China, and the see little snippets there of what the filmmakers were sort of feeling at the time. There's a criticism of the British going, oh, you must have their protection to be safe, but that's always proven not to really be true. And the final theme song is by Anita Moy, one of the great performers of Hong Kong cinema and the entertainment industry of the island colony at the time. And just as a nice little feature for the finale. Not the greatest movie, but entertaining. So if you, as I said, have seen the original, might want to give this one a miss. But if not, certainly worth a try.